Where is the pro-life movement a year after overturning Roe versus Wade? To discuss some of the issues facing the pro-life movement, we just spoke to Erin Hawley, Senior Counsel and Vice President of the Center for Life and Regulatory Practice at Alliance Defending Freedom. Erin Hawley, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Great to be here.
Of course. Erin, I want to get your thoughts when it comes to the DOJ stance on pro-life activists. What would you say the implications are for civil liberties right now in our country?
So I think it's deeply concerning. If you look at the way the Biden administration's DOJ has approached pro-life issues, it has been entirely one-sided. If we think back to the home, I think some 20 SWAT officers, FBI agents knocking at someone's door in the beginning of the morning to drag a guy out for defending his son was acquitted by the jury. And yet on the other side of things, we see clinics who serve women, who provide free resources, having all sorts of things from firebombs to vandalism right here in the nation's capital. They had spray paint across their door, and yet we don't see the Biden administration taking an interest in protecting pregnancy care centers.
You know, this issue is obviously front and center with election season. I want to get your thoughts. Are you surprised by some of the pushback that we've seen on spending proposals from some moderate Republicans on pro-life legislation?
You know, I think that if we think about protecting life, it is such a fundamental principle. We all have inherent dignity and worth regardless of status or color of our skin or any of these characteristics. And it's something that all Republicans, really all legislators should be able to agree on, is that every person matters. And that happens before you're born as well. So every person deserves the most basic of rights, the right to life, and that really should be foundational.
I want to get your thoughts on these abortion pills that become a major flashpoint since the Dobbs decision overturning Roe versus Wade. What is your opinion on these pills?
So they're inherently dangerous. As you're probably aware, the Fifth Circuit struck down a number of administrative decisions regarding chemical abortion. And to be clear here, we're not talking about the morning after pill or Plan B, as it's sometimes called. We're talking about chemical abortion that intentionally kills an unborn child up to 12 weeks of age. Sometimes Planned Parenthood uses it up until then. So it's the intentional taking of an unborn child's life. The Fifth Circuit found that the FDA had failed to follow the Administrative Procedure Act when it stripped away various safeguards like actually ensuring that a woman see a doctor before taking this dangerous chemical abortion drug. So we applaud that decision. The organization I work for, Alliance Defending Freedom, is representing the doctors in that lawsuit who are seeking to make sure that the FDA does its job and protects women and girls from the harms of chemical abortion.
So some moderate Republicans, as I mentioned, they've actually objected to the provision in the Agriculture and FDA spending bill, which prohibits mailing these abortion pills across the country. What would your message be to them?
So I think when you're talking about mail order chemical abortion drugs, that's something that everyone should be against. Even if you are in favor and call yourself pro-choice, the idea that a woman can get a dangerous chemical abortion drug that she takes at home without ever seeing a doctor is wholly unsupported by the evidence. FDA's own label says that between 2.9 and 4.6% of women who take this drug will end up in the emergency room due to complications. And yet we have the FDA wishing to mail this drug. You can go online, fill out a form in 5 minutes, and get this drug shipped to your house. And yet you could end up in the emergency room. That's something that shouldn't happen in America.
Lastly, election cycles, they often play out in sound bites and campaign ads. How do you see conservatives presenting the issue of abortion in a way that won't be taken out of context, yet still gets the message across in the correct way?
So I think the pro-life issue is one that facilitates the flourishing of women who are facing unplanned pregnancies during that pregnancy and beyond. We have a responsibility as a culture, as church members, as voters, to take care of women and their children, not just during pregnancy, but to step up and support those mothers and children as well. And a number of states have done this really well. I think about Mississippi, who has implemented $100 million grant, I believe. I think about the state of Texas, who has provided not only material resources, but education training, job training, housing to women facing unplanned pregnancies. In my own state of Missouri, they've got a great plan where you can contribute to pregnancy care centers and receive a tax credit. You know, what could be a better use of money and resources than to invest in the lives of mothers and their children?
Erin Hawley, really appreciate you joining us to share your perspective. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.